far away from here. I'll come with you.
Faked our deaths, lit a match, closed the door, waited for the flash. Greyhound station, paid in cash. It's Lazarus, we coming back. They say it's darkest before the dawn. We've been in this town for far too long. They say it's darkest before the dawn. We're moving on, we're moving on, we're moving on. Sunsets, no regrets. First chance, last man, stuck in the middle. Even that girl's no good love. You taste so sweet, it hurts a little. Make our home where we stand. One suitcase and half a plan. Follow the wolves and sing along. Pass the voices to the song. They say it's darkest before the dawn. We've been in this town for far too long. They say it's darkest before the dawn. We're moving on, we're moving on, we're moving on. Sunsets, no regrets. First chance, last man, stuck in the middle. Even that girl's no good love. You taste so sweet, it hurts a little.
Hello guys, first I'll do a sound and video check. Let me bring this up. I think I have this open. Let me close some things down. I see some flashing maybe on the screen, or is that just me? Yeah, that's actually happening. One moment guys. Let's see if that cleans it up. There we go, perfect. All right, so I think we are good to go. Let me know if there is any issues that you see. Okay, I got a confirmation in chat. Everything is looking good. I hope I sound okay. So again, if you guys are new to this is Trade Ideas' kind of new format we have going on, where we are basically archived the structured education, right? That's still up there if anybody is looking for that. You know, you want a step-by-step kind of course, a step one, you know, I want to do this, step two, I want to do this, and just kind of learn how the system works in that way. Let me know and I can redirect you. Or if you just Google Trade Ideas University, you'll see that there as well. And that will allow you to, you know, just learn the basics, right? You know, how do I open an alert window? How do I use the AI? What's the difference between the two of them? You know, things like that. You'll be able to figure that out fairly quickly. And then what we recommend is you come here after that and you know, write down all the questions that you've come across, and then come here and ask away for us, and we will we'll give you a hand. We're going to be here an hour every day from Monday to Friday for the foreseeable future. So there will be lots of times to come down and ask questions if you're figuring out kind of what's going on and you're trying to and you're trying to sort all that out, then we'll definitely give you a hand with that. So in the meantime, when there's no questions, we'll just be kind of talking about the market, talking about cool things that we're doing within Trade Ideas, things that are on the horizon. Myself personally, if you guys don't know me, I'm responsible for kind of more of the algorithmic end of things, where I like to trade kind of more like I guess algorithmic. I guess it's a fancy word for it, but I just like to kind of come up with some math equations, figure out what has a slight statistical edge, and then apply on top of that edge what I look for as a trader from someone who's been trading for 12 years. So Mary Beth can't hear. I'm just going to assume everyone else can hear, or I would hear more of that. So let's try the basic stuff. I won't be able to talk, but I'll put it in chat. Is YouTube muted? Sometimes my YouTube like defaults as muted when I load in. Let me just try. Okay, I've tried. I can hear myself, so okay. So the sound is working. So it's got to be their own computer. Okay, that's fine. So a good day to sit back and take a look at the market and just take a look at our artificial intelligence and how well it's doing, because it's been phenomenal for today. So let's quickly just I'm going to be on the web version here. I'll switch back and forth from the web to the downloaded as we see fit. But as a Mac nerd, I like using the web version as much as I can, right? There's some things that are lacking, and we're hoping to look into that. Things like Brokerage Plus, obviously, and indicators for the chart, but in all in due time. But taking a look here at the SPY to start out with. Kind of worried about this action, I'm not going to lie, as someone who trades more on kind of the swing scalp side, I guess, for lack of a better term. So I try to look for opportunities that are going to take a few days to a week. That's kind of where I like to live the most. I do some day trading as well. I have some algorithms for that. But mainly speaking, I am kind of a short-term swing scalper. What worries me kind of about this market is not this initial drop. This initial drop was a bit traumatic and scared the pants off everyone, but that happens if we go back in the market, right? That happens all the time. If we go to a weekly chart here and we just look at this insane run, every time we've had a down week, a massive down week, right? This one was a bottoming tail, a couple massive down weeks. They've all been reversed. But as someone who's looking for the next few days, if this candle were to close kind of where it is, this is one of my favorite setups actually to look at on the daily charts for things that I like to trade intraday. And am I in any intradays that would mirror that? Not really. But you have this big kind of called igniting bar, right? This big opening bar with high volume shows that there's a fair amount of momentum and strength and fear, and it closes near the bottom, it opens near the bottom and closes near the top, and then vice versa for a long candle. And then what happens is you get an inside day. But the important thing to note of where this inside day is occurring, it's occurring closer to the bottom end of this range than it is the top, just kind of showing that every time we've pushed up and tried to retake some of this candle, there are sellers that come right in to meet us. And also on top of that, right now, I feel like I should do a quiz, but I don't know if there's that many people in there. But this is a specific looking candle, and that is called a gravestone doji. And the reason that they called it a gravestone doji when they made up all the candlesticks names, it was essentially like all the soldiers went out to battle, and then they all got killed and left these gravestones behind. And it's morbid, I know, but that's the origins of that particular candle name, which again just shows that we opened up here, right? All the bulls went into battle and they all got slaughtered, and here we are here. So again, it's halfway through the day. You never want to trade off a candle that hasn't closed, of course, but that's kind of just what I'm seeing here. So again, just a pretty simple, a lot of people will call it a 1-2-3 play, where you look for a big engulfing bar like this and then a small inside bar, and then you look for some continuation out of that inside bar, so you have a much tighter place for your stop, and at that as a continuation play. And that's actually something I scan for periodically for these shorter term day and swing trades that I do, is just riding on the back of that momentum. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about the market. Again, there is, in the grand scheme of things, these kind of markets, I guess, are all about time frames. Like, what is your time frame? If you are a day trader, right, doesn't matter. Like, none of this, if you're a pure day trader, none of this should matter to you, right? Because you're just looking for whatever opportunities that arise that day, and you're going to move on. The only thing to note is obviously the change in volatility, right? The change from these tiny little spinning top and doji candles that weren't really doing much to this big candle. So all you do is you adjust your trading size. Before, if you took 200 shares and put the stop 20 cents away, you right now try to do 100 shares and put the stop 40 cents away, right? Things are moving faster, so you just need to adjust that. Now for swing traders, the short-term swing traders are the ones that are going to have, I want to say, the hardest time, but I guess that it's all about how you're positioned. But the reason I say the hardest time is because in the past, if we look, we've had all of these moves reverse pretty quickly. So if you were a short-term swing trader and you were shorting in through this area, a few days later, it's right back where it was, right? So for you type of people, you need to be a bit careful, and I'm one of those as well. And kind of my game plan is just to shorten my time frames. Something that may take a day or two. Like, I've got a really good trade going on this CRUS right now that was going to be a multiple day hold, but it may just be for today, the way it's looking now. So I've shortened my time frame. I have lowered my share size, and then I've just increased the size of the stop. So my risk's the same. I'm just giving things a little more wiggle room, because in bear markets, and in air quotes, only been a few days, that's just the trading that makes the most sense. As for kind of long-term traders, currently this is only a pullback in a predominant uptrend. We've had, right, December, that was a pullback, and then our low in June was higher, and our low in August was higher, and our low in December was higher, and currently it could still be considered a higher low depending on what time frame you look for. So you just need to make sure that you're adapting your risk accordingly, and that's one thing that we've been working on here with our AI, and one thing that it's been doing fantastically on. So we had a couple great trades on this one today. Let me go. I like the Omni channel layout a little better here. So VIR has been fantastic to start with. You had tons and tons of time to get into this one. It's kind of chopped around most of the day, and when it broke its high here, that was just phenomenal type of play. So that's kind of topping our winning scale. But one of them that I was watching and took in a different account is this Papa John's. And it's actually triggered twice here, which is kind of rare for our new AI Neo. So if you're new to Trade Ideas, again, this is a Q&A. So I've got my eyes over there on the question box just to see what's going on. But if you're new to Trade Ideas and you're wondering what these are our artificial intelligence engines. So essentially what we've done is we've built strategies. I've done a fair amount of them. Other people in the company have done a bunch as well, where we start it from a trader's point of view and says, what is it that we like to see as traders? And we built them into algorithms, and we back tested them. And over the long run, they did well. But what we've noticed is that, especially for intraday trading algorithms, things change pretty dramatically. Something that will work in one marketplace won't work in another marketplace, and it won't work in another marketplace. So what we did is we built this engine that runs all of these strategies that we've built through this system, where it's saying, okay, not only do I want to find out under what system the strategy works the best, like let's use what we're looking at, for example, with breakdown short, which is basically something that has incredibly high volume today. Let's just look, but a relative volume of like over 5. So doing PZZA 7. So this is doing 7 times normal volume. So very important to note there. So with 7 times normal volume, Papa John's is breaking down. And that's essentially the theory behind an algorithm. And then what the AI does from there and says, okay, well, where does this make the most sense? Where does this break down? When it occurs, is it at a 5-day low? Does that work better? Is it above or below the moving average? You know, whether you're, a 200-day moving average, what does the stock twits activity have to do with it? Things like that. Every metric we have, it checks against. And then it pulls, say, the top 5 to 10 strategies every day. And it says, okay, not only are these ones that we've optimized to work very well in this market environment, but these are ones that we've also picked from that 70 list of algorithms that rank the highest. And we rank them with Monte Carlo simulations and out of sample data and all kinds of boring statistics nerd stuff that I personally love. And then that's what you're given. So Neo, for example, and this is why it's my favorite, is one that I was able to kind of build up from scratch. And the theory behind Neo is just what I was talking about with these huge relative volume plays. Everything that you see that comes through here will have massive relative volume. The reason I like these type of plays is I find that you're right immediately or kind of not at all. So what happens is, you'll buy the stock, something like VIR, and you'll just put your stop at the low of the day. And then you'll see this thing never hit the stop and then continued higher. Whereas, I find if the stocks are lower volume, sometimes they'll come and they'll stop you out, and then you'll re-enter and maybe you'll go a bit, and just more chop. Whereas if you look at charts that you see in Neo, they're more decisive in action, right? Pizza is just the initial short was in through here, and the secondary short was in through here, and it's cleaner, I guess, for lack of a better term. First question came in, which is great, so you guys won't need to hear me rant anymore. I'm looking at the channel bar and see 4 divided by 6 and 10 divided by 3. What are you, let me see if the channel bar looks different in the downloaded version, and if it does, we'll go over there. No, it looks, that's how many trades have gone through and the winners and the losers. Let me go here, and if I set all this up right, I just need to click this one button, and you are in my downloaded version, which, as a Mac nerd, I run this in a virtual system. Oh, open versus closed trades. Yeah, so what the user was talking about is, let me highlight this, is these numbers kind of right in through here. And yeah, as Sean put in the chat there, this is the amount of open trades versus closed trades. So you can see that Holly AI is mostly closed, 2.0, and Neo are mostly still open. So these are a good way to know that how that risk on, risk off type of flag is working as well. Which the other question we get a lot of is, what does this kind of word down here mean? Sometimes it says moderate, and sometimes it says conservative, and sometimes it says aggressive. So let's quickly go through that because it's a common question. So let's get I actually, on this account, swap back and forth between different segments. Okay, so I was able to get that work. Sometimes I can see Holly in this one, and sometimes I can't. So let's just take a look at these different modes. So let's take a look at old Papa John's here. Papa John's having a real bad day. So if I were to say conservative, if I wanted to trade this in conservative mode, you can see what happens is essentially it will trade it as if it gets you in on the blue line, which is what we see here. That's the suggested entry price. The stop loss is up here, so that's obviously in place in conservative mode, but it may be hard to see, but you can see where, expand this out, you can see where the dark shading kind of goes to light shading, and that shows that at this time, this actual position exited on some sort of a trailing stop mechanism. We have a couple of those built into the AI that says, okay, we can exit here because it's starting to reverse, or it's maybe it took too long to become positive and we exit it. And those are conservative exits. The benefit of conservative exits is that you generally don't get full stop outs as much as you would, and things are managed a little bit more actively. The downside to conservative exits, and this is something we're working on, and something I think we'll always be working on, because if anyone who's traded for any length of time will tell you this is one of the hardest parts of trading, is balancing your exit between getting out too early and watching the thing run forever without you, or holding on too long and watching a wicked profit turn into a loss. So that's something that we're going to balance there. So what we've done is a lot of people, myself included, like to trade in moderate mode. So what moderate mode essentially means, we'll bring back up Papa John here. I may have to manage some of these trades live in real time, just FYI. Come on. Let's just do. So here in Papa John's. So we're back in, right? We got our short here. The original stop went out right here. And what we've noticed is that sometimes, even though the trailing stop algorithm kind of got you out on this bounce that happened right at the low of the day, that they can continue much further. So all of these holdings now within Holly Grail and Holly Neo are optimized for all-day holds. So it assumes that you kind of buy it right where it was and you hold it all day. What we find is that in some cases, in a lot of cases actually, if the stock moves kind of well in your favor, your better bet just to sit and let it ride, as we see kind of Papa John's here fall apart in real time. So what moderate mode does is it assumes that you open it up where the target is, right here, and it puts out the initial stop, and it's just going to hold it until 5 minutes before the close, unless the stop gets hit, of course, obviously first. So there's a couple benefits here. One of them is that it gives winning trades more time to run for you, as well as keeping losing trades capped at what they should be. The other benefit to it is that it's not going to chop you out on stocks that are just noisy and continue on, where obviously the downside is that this thing could go, right, the entry was at $63, right now it's at 60, so that's what, 5 some odd percent. It could come back and stop me out today, right? So what most people do, again, myself included, what we suggest you do is trade on a moderate mode, but then manage your stop losses yourself. So for example, being short this right now, I would use this base that we've had here throughout the day and say, okay, this is going to be my worst case stop now. Where, so I've let the AI enter the trade for me. I've let the AI choose my initial stop loss, choose my risk, do all this for me. But myself, I'm going to manage the exit. So one may take off part as it comes down to the low of the day here and then move the stop, or whatever exit mechanism you come with. Our buddy Steve Gomez here, let's put this on SMA, and then we're going to modify the parameters, and let's make it a 10. yeah, buddy Steve, what he does, he uses this 10 period moving average. He says, I'm going to stay in the stock as long as this kind of continues to guide it lower. Doesn't mean that if it breaks instantly he'll get out, but more of a, I want to see what happens. Can this stock kind of get above and base for a bit above the 10 day and move up? I've seen a lot of people use bar by bar stops, something that we're actually looking to build into the system to be done automatically, if you ask. So you can basically say, I want to just wait for a bar to break over a previous bar's high, and you'd still be in the stock then, just moving the stop down as it goes. It's something I do quite frequently. Excuse me. So we have a question. Can I demo a swing trade in Brokerage Plus using a good to cancel trade setup? We're not quite there. We don't have good to cancel orders in the system yet, but that is something that's been identified and is working on. I'll kind of show you the workaround that I do for now, which is not ideal, but I don't think this will be a big, a super big job that will take a long time and a lot of testing. I think we'll get this out fairly soon. And again, the dev team does know about this. But for now, if you go and edit a strategy, you can pick how long that time is enforced. And by default, it's, I think, 120 seconds. Yeah, so this is good for 120 seconds, 2 minutes. So this will send out an order after 2 minutes. If the order doesn't get filled, it will cancel it. So what you can do, what I did, just to get it started, you can hit 99999 and then hit OK. And what it will do is it will put it at, I believe, it's 100,000 seconds. Now, how much is divided by 60? So 1,600 minutes. 1,600 divided by 60. 26 hours, if I did my math right there. So that will get you fairly close for about a day. So that's the best way, kind of work around not having good to cancel orders right now. But again, it's something that we know about. Trade Ideas was kind of set up traditionally to be a day trading type of software, and we are just kind of expanding it out as as time goes on and people become more and more interested. We're expanding this out to be a bit more of a swing trading time frame. Part of the reason we think is that the market is more conducive to swing trading than it is day trading right now for a lot of people. A lot of people have jobs and they want to work on the side. And they just want to trade in and out of the market. My argument would be that swing trading is definitely the way to go. If you have the option between a job, if you don't kind of dramatically hate your job, and swing trading versus day trading for a living, I definitely vote for the latter there. Where I think there's just more. It's less consistent swing trading, but I think there's just more to be had there because the volatility, you can take more advantage of it. Multi-day holds as opposed to being in and out every day with higher leverage. So as we move to being more and more swing trading focused, with a swing trading AI in development, we'll be more cognizant, I guess, of making sure our order types and everything kind of make sense. So that's how I would take a look at pizza, PZZA. I think that's, just pop that out. And then cover that. Right, so moderate mode for trading them, I think, is best if you have the time and the ability to monitor them. And then just trail the stop on whatever metric you decide. Right? Pick a moving average, pick a candle, bar by bar setup, 15 minute, 10 minute, probably not too much lower than that for a bar by bar setup, and just let it go. Just some of these things I found, especially with Neo, because of the extreme volume of them, they can take a while to really get going. But if you just keep a simple kind of trailing stop in place under each area of resistance, then sometimes you can get some really great movers out of here. Right here, we're looking at VIR and CDOX, which were both up over 10% on each in a down tape. So you can't complain about that. So keep the questions coming, guys. We're about halfway through. I'm sure not everybody wants to hear me ramble. Does Trade Ideas have strategy scans for swing trading built in currently? Sure, you can scan for almost anything you like. So all you have to do is say, okay, well, what is my trading plan? What does that trading plan look for? And then you can just build that. So if you have an example for it. Now, do we have an AI that says buy here and sell here when it comes specifically for swing trading? That's not yet. We're working on that. However, Sean will be one of the first to tell you he uses our AI for swing trading. And how he does this isn't something that I do, but it's something that he does, where he will go through and at the end of every day, scan through everything the AI put out that day, and then with his own kind of trading eye that he's honed, he said, this is something that's interesting to me. Let's go. I'll look to buy this and trail it and sell it wherever. And then on top of that, we did some kind of studies ourselves. Here's what Mike is talking about. Put calendar spreads. Oof. Oh yeah, so Sean in the chat there just put down a little link where you can go and click on. You can see all. Again, it's just I'm going to scan the market and I'm going to use this AI, which, as I was saying, we actually did some independent third-party research on, where we took the AI and all of its trades and we gave it to this analytics firm. We said, listen, this is designed and everything we report is from a day trading point of view, but we've noticed that in some cases, in many cases actually, that there is kind of a big move when it comes to trading these things after the fact. So what we would like to do is we'd like to know, and we'd like you to study, is there any merit to holding Holly trades for a couple days after the entry point? It came back that was indeed the case, that there was a definite benefit to picking up a Holly trade and holding it for a few days, as opposed to just that current day on average, right? Now, Holly puts out a lot of trades, so holding all of them, both kind of long and short, would be impossible unless you have way, way more money than I do. But just knowing the fact that there was that statistical merit there, we started to look at it and said, oh, well, I wonder what would happen if we went through and kind of used a trader eye and said, okay, I'm going to hold this one and I'm going to not hold this one, and I'm going to focus on this and not on this. And Sean's been doing that for a period of time now and ended up having pretty good success with it. So that's kind of led us into saying, okay, well, maybe this thing isn't just for day trading. So we're using a lot of the same theories and technologies, along with some new things that I've learned just from working with Trade Ideas here for a few years, to kind of say, okay, well, if that's the case, then why don't we kind of build one from scratch, right, from the ground up, and say, okay, this is the AI and this is what we're looking for it to do, and have it just work on a swing time frame. So no ETA there as of yet. I don't want to get everyone super excited about it. It's one of those things that's going to require testing and testing and testing and testing. We don't want to release anything until we know it has edge. So we have to do a lot of back end work and make sure everything's going there. And then at the same time, I've got to test all of the ideas I'm putting in. I'm going to start sourcing different ideas to build scans off of. A big job, but we're very, very excited for that. Is there an Excel for increasing volume over 3 bars time frame? Not at this time. You cannot reference past intraday bars within the system as of now. So you can reference you can basically say, and let me just, probably better to show you than just to tell you. That's why we're streaming, right? Instead of chatting on the phone. So you can go through and say volume and compare, filters. So you can say, for example, I want, 10-minute volume. I want this 10-minute volume to be higher than normal, which is the 10-minute volume for that 10-minute candle over other periods of time. You can say relative volume, where you can say I want the volume today to be higher than days past, but specifically this bar to be higher than the last bar, to be higher than the bar before it. We can't do as of right now. So Jim asked, does this follow Barry's idea of the second day trade using Holly to identify them, implementing a trade second day, not on the first? Basically, the setup does not take place till the second day. No, that's just a strategy that Barry came up with that he likes, and I definitely see a lot of merit to it. But that was the reason that we said, okay, we should test this from a swing trading point of view, because we saw people that use our system like Barry every day who says, hey, I've noticed that if a trade closes strong and there's room on the daily, that quite often there's a couple days follow through. So that's where Barry kind of got that idea from. So we said, okay, well, if that's true, then on what scale is it true? So we were able to go back and say, what would happen if you held every single one of Holly's trade, long and short, for 3 days past, where the entry was, and there was a definite statistical advantage to doing that. So then we went back to Barry and said, yeah, looks like you're right, and that's why he developed that strategy. But what we're planning on doing with the swing trading AI is kind of from the ground up, focused entirely right now. When we run our back tests and we run our optimization and we pull in our out of sample data and we run our Monte Carlo simulations, they're all done off buy when the system tells you to buy, and then sell at the close. And again, you can look right now, risking $100 per trade, you're up 1,500 plus across all the positions if you traded them all in aggressive mode. So we said, okay, that's great, but that's, we built something to day trade, and we're noticing that it also swing trades. And that's one way to look at it, and that's great. But what if we built something just to swing trade? And that's kind of what we're taking a look at now and saying, instead of optimizing for a 1 day hold and then hoping we get a continued move out of it, how about let's optimize for a 3 to 5 day hold and then hope we get a continued move out of it and see how that works. And again, it could be when we test it and find out it doesn't work very well, and we'll come up with something different. But it's just exciting, and something that you guys that like to hang out in these live streams get a little bit of a hint of is kind of what we're playing with in the back end. And that's one of the main things. There's tons and tons of improvements coming. Again, some of them that you guys will see directly, but the ones that are exciting for me are the ones that allow me to optimize what the AI is doing. And those aren't things that you'll see directly, but you'll just see when you're looking at kind of the performance of this here. It's kind of like, if you had a computer or your iPhone or something, and then Apple put out an update and you took a look and everything looked the same, but it all ran a lot faster. That's the best way to say, okay, that's kind of what we're doing in the back end, where we're saying you may not see it. You won't have to change anything within your trade ideas, However, in the back end, what you're going to see is just better performance. Things are going to work better. This CODX, I don't know if you guys are watching this, but it actually, for a second there before it restart, broke. It went through the top of my chart. It was a call earlier here from quarterback at 561, and then this thing is just rocketing. It's popping up on high volume. Oh, look at that. The charts need to update now. Did it maybe get halted? No. It's just things are going crazy on this one. No position here, unfortunately. Jim says that's why I like TI. We're always improving and modifying, changing. And that's, the story about how I started with TI is I started in the prop shop, messing with the level 2 as a lot of the guys here who started with it. And I bought Trade Ideas then, and that was back when level 2 meant something, right? You could have a big bid and a big offer, and those were real, and Trade Ideas would scan for them and give them to you. And that's the incredible basic functionality that we had back then. And then just now we have a machine learning, artificial intelligence engine, right? So things that have expanded out dramatically. So yeah, so again, if you don't see me in the limelight as much as a lot of these other guys, but that's one of the reasons why is I'm in the back of the office just thinking and trying to figure out ways to make the AI better. My focus in 2020 is all going to be on risk management. So as the market changes, so do we, because I've learned one thing about this industry is that the people who are stuck in their ways are the ones that are run over the quickest. CODX is at highs here. We tagged $8 there real quick. Yeah, 794. Real time, guys. What more are you looking for? That one trade was absolutely fantastic, and that's not even one of our new crazy algorithms. That came from Quarterback, which is something I believe Steve built years and years ago. And what Quarterback is looking for is essentially a stock that is strong on the daily, which you can see there's really nothing here on the daily at all. And then it is strong intraday, and then does this little kind of jerk back where you can see on these candles when it entered, it does this kind of fast reversal, and then you can go in and try to pick it up on a pullback as opposed to buying highs, which is something that personally just kills me. I know a lot of traders that do it and they do it well, but for me it hurts. So then the question is $8 the high? I wouldn't buy it here, but I also wouldn't bet that $8 is going to be the high there. And then what else is going on? VIR still basing here at highs, having a little bit of trouble with 29. 29 even was the high of this spike. And did we break that? Yeah, 29.55. We broke that a bit before coming back. A question here. What number would I use with stocks with a lot of volatility? That's you'd have to define a lot of volatility, right? That's going to be different for every individual trader. You could use an ATR. You could use change in like 15 minutes or change in 20 minutes or change in 120 minutes, which, 2-hour change. That's a good one for volatility. We have the volatility filters. You could start at 0.2, but really it's like anything with the system. You should take your trading plan. You should have your trading plan written down in front of you and say, okay, what does my trading plan define as a lot of volatility? Okay, what's the best way to express that within Trade Ideas, and then test it, right? And go through the list. Any alert window you can find. Let me just move this a little bit. But yeah, there's any alert window you can go through, and you can right click, and under history you can go today, and you can see all the trades that happened today, or you can go yesterday, or pick a time frame, And then from there, you'll be able to go through and click through and say, okay, no, maybe that wasn't enough volatility. Let me crank up the number. And then maybe you don't get many results when you crank up the number. So you say, okay, let me open it up a little bit more and see what's going on there. So, do whatever your trading plan says, but then test and test and test and test and test. Hello, Leslie. So what's your take on time and sales level 2 in combination with TI? Has this been tested? Is there any advantage to level 2 and time and sales? I'm going to be a kind of a buzzkill on this, and I know a lot of the guys agree with me. I think level 2 is 110% completely worthless right now. It used to be very valuable. It used to be very valuable back in the day, before high frequency trading orders, before black box, flashing algorithms, before iceberg orders, where, if someone says, I want to buy 10,000 shares, and they put out 100 shares at a time, and every time that order gets picked up, they just put down another 100 shares. Because what we used level 2 and time and sales for at the time was to follow quote unquote smart money. And, we would define smart money as that big guy buying or selling, 250,000 shares at a time. However, that guy now, you'll never see him. The guy who's buying or selling a lot of shares, you won't see, because he's smart and there's no need for you to see him. So if you see somebody buying or selling large lots on the tape and on the level 2, that's the dumb money now. Because, I can myself, anybody with Interactive Brokers, anyone with almost any broker can set through hidden orders, dark pool orders, iceberg orders, this type of thing. So, knowing that that's the case, then, it leads to say, okay, who is the guy who's not doing that, right? Who is the guy who's actually putting his order out there for everyone to see? And it's someone who's either manipulating the market or is dumb, basically. So I put no merit at all in actually, the level 2 at all whatsoever. I don't even look at it. I haven't had it up on my screen for years. And if anybody would to be biased to say level 2 is very important, it would be me, because I started my career without charts. They didn't give us charts. They just gave us a level 2 and said, here you go. So, if there's anyone who'd be clamoring for the good old days, it's me, and I think they're long gone. Focus on the price action, focus on the statistics, focus on the chart, and I think that will serve you way, way better than level 2. Again, my own personal thing. If you're trading level 2 and making a bunch of money doing it, I'm not going to tell you not to, but I'm going to say, if we only have so much mental bandwidth, spend it on something that is real, right? It's not real right now. Michael, I missed the trade on VIR this morning. Timed out due to limit, which is okay. Would the re-entry have gotten me back in on the pullback as it crossed the entry level again? It would not have. So let's switch back over to... boom. Okay, so what the question that's being asked about these re-entry buttons that we have here when you're auto trading the AI, right? We got one right here, and then we've got one right here, right? Long and short. So what these re-entries are, and for this, let's pop back to the web here. The re-entries are for if the stock gets stopped out and then continues to move back into the trade itself. So you can see that VIR, if you look at the chart here on the top left, it never actually got stopped out. So the re-entry would have not triggered. The re-entry is more for something, so here's a stop hit on INFN. So, right, it would have stopped out, but if this thing had kind of come back through the entry point here, it would have gotten you back in the trade. You can see this thing just completely fell apart, so that is absolutely fine. But that's more for what the, see if there's another one here that actually got stopped but would have been okay. Probably not. Something that would have stopped out and re-triggered. Yeah, so this one here would have, in Fate, where it would have stopped you out here. And then if you had re-entries enabled, when it came kind of back into this area, really close to the original entry point, it would get you back in that trade. And you could see that you would have recovered some of what you got stopped out for. So no re-entry is only for trades that have got stopped. So on VIR, because the stop never actually got hit and then it just pushed higher, you wouldn't have been re-entered there. So for that, you may have to just up the limit offset and say, I'm willing to take a more aggressive entry. But, you have to look at that in the grand scheme of things. Don't do that because you missed one trade. Take a look at all of your trading and say, okay, how many am I missing? If I'm missing all of them, or a large amount of them, then I should be more aggressive. If I'm getting all of them, maybe I could be a little bit greedy and try to get another extra couple cents out of it. So your limit offset, which again, let's just pop back to here. I can show you guys when you select that you want to trade the AI and you select your entry criteria, you can see I have mine set for, that's 11 cents, but it should be 10. For 10 cents away, which is to say that I am willing to buy any of these stocks, trade them in moderate mode, risk $50 a trade, and I'm willing to pay 10 cents worse than what the AI suggested. But that's it. And what I find is, for me, I get enough I get enough orders myself. I get enough of the fill that I'm okay with doing that. I'm never going to get every fill. You're just not going to. That's the nature of the market. You'll never get filled in every, regardless of what your strategy is, unless you're using market orders, and then you could be paying a way worse price. So again, the question always has to be, is it worth chasing? It depends, right? Again, if you're getting 90% of your fills, you're probably fine where you are. I wouldn't be paying too much up. Again, if you're getting 100% of your fills, maybe you could be a little greedier. Maybe you don't need to pay up 10 cents. You could pay up 5, 2 or 3 and get an order. Or what some people want to do is, go and make their time in force really, really big, right? Make that 1,000 seconds or 10,000 seconds, and I'm going to make this number positive. And if I make this number positive, what's going to happen is I'm going to put my order out there for a really long time, but I actually want better than Holly's suggested price. So what I'm going to know is that I'm going to miss a lot of trading if I do this, right? I'm going to miss, pizza, for example. If we go back, I'll miss the pizza, right? That just blew through the entry price, didn't look back. There would have been no way to get filled here on a passive order, right? You had to pay kind of what it wanted you to pay, and away you went. So, you do that math. You say, is it worthwhile for me to only get the ones that come back and get me and continue on? Or is it something that I should pay up for? And again, that's all based off your trading plan. People who want to trade less and they want to be cheap, then they can go ahead. And if not, away we go. At JF, any plans on different setting per segment per strategy? Yeah, we're thinking about that. So what JF's basically talking about is that the ability to say on this strategy, I want to trade this one conservatively and this one passively. I want to put an aggressive order for this type of strategy or a passive order for this type of strategy. We're thinking about it. It's always a level of, and this is a balancing act that I believe that anybody who's ever worked in software before can understand, a level of customization versus complexity, right? If we give the user the ability to edit everything, then what we do is we have this really kind of complex, heavy app. Whereas if we give the people the ability to customize nothing, then we're basically Apple. said from the guy broadcasting from a MacBook right now, but we're Apple and we're saying, no, we know best. This is what you got to look at. So we're always trying to reach that balance. So we have these kind of internal discussions all the time about how much functionality to add. This is something I could see that we'd be adding in the future. How do I go back and backtest the filter for a stock that has already made its move today? The backtester will update today's information pretty soon after the close. So just check after the close today. And if it's not working for you, then that's fine. Just go back and wait a bit. Tomorrow morning for sure, that data will be in there. If you just want to backtest just today's trading, which is, that's an n=1 sample size, which, believe me, that was a sick burn for any of you math nerds out there. But you can just go through and let's take a look at, just open up a new alert window. You can right click and hit today. And this will be all of the symbols that would have gone through today, and you can check them by eye, which, again, if your trade is too big that would be an incredibly daunting task, then I would suggest you probably aren't going to be auto trading it anyway, because, again, we're not an HFT type of a system. However, if you're looking at when to backtest today's data, that'll be ready after the close or tomorrow. Oh, if you have the standard version of TI, you'll have to do all your backtesting by eye. The backtester is in the premium version only. Regarding the simulator, if I use TI data server and do not connect to Brokerage Plus, does the simulator identify trades per my strategy and place them in the simulator window, and I trade them manually? Yep, you can have it auto trade for you, and then you can trade them manually. You can actually connect to Brokerage or TI and IB at the same time, and then all you do, let us switch my screen back to the desktop here. So, for example, if I wanted to trade the AI and I wanted the AI to be trading in my simulator account instead of my real account, I would just click on this, which I'm not going to do on stream because it would show my account numbers. But you would just click on here. You would just pick that you want the simulator to trade this. And then you can do the same thing on your own strategies, where if you edit, so this is an auto trading strategy I have. We're short. You can see it's shorted here at NKTR. Here's the stop. It's risking $100. If I wanted to point this to a different account, I can do it, and the account button is just right here. So you could, for example, if you wanted to, have this traded on a live account, you could do that. You want another one traded on a simulator account, you could do that. Another great purpose for it is you can, I'm a Canadian, if you haven't been able to tell by my accent. So I have an RRSP, which is, I think, the same as IRAs for you. It's just a tax-deferred account that I can trade in, but no margin, I can't short. So if I'm doing a long swing trade, I quite often will do it in that account. And if I'm day trading and I want margin or I want a short, I will do it in a margin account that I have. So within the same window, you could say, I want this to go to this account, I want this to go to this account, and I want this to go to this account. So it's a good way to split up your trading based off of different accounts. So again, I know that if I right click and I hit one of these strategies, this one, stop at yesterday's low, that will put the stop at yesterday's low, and that will send that to my RSP account, where what you're seeing here is my day trades. So these are my day trades in my real personal margin account, and then this is my swing trading account. So anything that's a super long-term swing trade, I think like AVNS, I have in my retirement account, and same with LK here. But AVNR, that's definitely in my margin account, I know, because I'm not allowed to short in my retirement account. how did TIA get so many Canadians? I like to think that there's so many Canadians here, and by so many, there's two. What your just because we're better. I think that's just we're better than Americans at trading. I'm just gonna say that, and then now the fight will begin in chat. Speaking of RSP, I found the allocation toggle. Is this enabled? Oh, so you mean the allocation split. That's a bit advanced, and you can do that. What you do is you get an allocation profile set up with you at IB. That's more for like investment advisors and that type of stuff. But it is, it is activated. So once you have the allocation profile to say, okay, if I want to buy 100 shares of Apple, I want you to put 30 shares in this account, and 20 shares in this account, 50 shares in this account. Once that's set up and you name it, you can point that to that. But that's like super advanced stuff. Off-topic question: do you program in the Python language? I can't code my way out of a wet paper bag. So I'm taking my CMT right now. I'll finish that in June. Hopefully, knock on wood, I don't fail. If I fail, I'm blaming, I don't know, something that's not me. But after that, I'm actually going to learn Python just to be able to sink my teeth deeper into this. Basically, everything I've done to this point has been within Trade Ideas using their system and a bit of custom formulas, and then the rest of it has been, hey, Mr. Programmer, sir, this is a good idea. Let me explain to you the idea, and then the programmer takes it and develops it. So I'm going to be deep into learning to program after I am done with my CMT for sure, because I'd like to be able to help out more in that respect. And yeah, Python is going to probably be the language of choice. I think, unless there's someone here who's better at programming than me, it's like Python and R are the two that you should really kind of dive into with, if you're in finance type of things. They're the best for, big data type management. So that'll be next. Maybe I'll do on my YouTube channel, my personal YouTube channel. Maybe I'll do you guys can watch me struggle my way through learning to program, which is it's new to me for sure. All right, guys, so I'll give one more minute for more questions, and if not, I will turn this off and call it a day, and we will be back tomorrow. Again, if you like these, just kind of shoot the shit and then answer questions as they come. Again, let us know. Share it around. If you like the old format better, feel free to tell us there too. I think it's a great way to kind of touch with the community, and it's gotten Trade Ideas kind of open to exploring this a little bit more. So I expect that you're going to see more live streams randomly off the cusp. I think you're going to see more live streams of the trading room and of nighttime webinars, and I think you're just going to see this populate it more. So not to sound like a sellout entirely, but make sure that you hit subscribe, and then there's a little bell next to it after you hit subscribe. That will actually send out a notification when we go live, because again, we're planning on just doing more and more of this, and if you guys want to be alerted when that happens, just hit that little bell and away we go. So that is it for today, and not me, but somebody will see you guys tomorrow.